Hey everybody, welcome back to Card Curiosity, where we try to find the best possible ways to make a good return on your investment in the sports card world. And today we're going to have another episode of Rip It or Skip It, where we analyze a set of cards and see if it's something that is worth spending our money on and if it's possible to get some big hits from it. Today we're going to be looking at 2024 Topps Chrome Sapphire Edition Baseball. This is one of the more highly sought after sets of cards every year. You get the biggest players in the league on the Sapphire Edition, and the cards look awesome. But let's just take a look and see whether or not this is something that is worth our money. You can see what some of these cards are going to look like. They look fantastic. They got a lot of different players in here with the autographs and everything else. So anyway, if you remember our formula for deciding whether we should rip it or skip it, we break it down into 4 areas. First is the price. We want to know whether the price of the cards can be purchased for something reasonable or if it's going to be too expensive. Second, we look at the checklist to see if you can actually pull the players that you want to pull and the likelihood of doing that. Third, we have the gradability. We want to know whether these cards, if you send them to PSA or SGC, can you get 10s on them? Because that's truly how you're going to make the most money here, is by opening the hot players and sending them to PSA. And then finally, we're going to look at the relevance or desirability of a card. Is this a type of card that is going to be desired down the road 5-10 years from now if you pick the right players? And we'll come up with a score here and try to have a decision for you by the end. So to start out with, let's jump in and look at the price. And I know the pre-orders just happened about a week or so ago. And so like on Dave & Adams, one of the places we tend to buy cards on the aftermarket, they don't have anything for sale right now. The pre-sale purchase price on Topps was around $350 to $400, I believe. Over at Blowout Cards, you can pre-order them for $550, which is honestly a little bit less than what I thought they would be. And so you could have, maybe bought a box from Topps if you got lucky, and for $350 and flipped them for $500 to $600 on eBay. I'm guessing is what they're going for right now. So on the price side, these are going to be a little expensive for sure, north of $500. We are going to give this a 1 out of 5. That's just a lot of money for one single box. Now you do get, as we jump into the checklist, you are going to get one autograph here per box, which is nice. But let's first take a peek at what you can expect here. This is the big one for me. Like, this is so many cards, so many players. 700 of them here. That's just a lot. And the players that you really want are these guys here: Jackson Holiday, Ellie, Jackson Merrill, Jackson Churio, and Dominguez. But some of these, Holiday, Merrill, and Churio, their base cards are not even in here. And so they might have autographs, but the base cards are pretty bad. Selection wise, you can find Ellie in there. I did look at these, but if you look down and see, you can get the different colors, which are always awesome. They're great looking, but there's 700 cards. There's a good chance of the 32 cards you get in one of these boxes, most of these are going to be players you probably don't have any desire to get. That is unfortunate. Now, the one thing that might save it is that you have autographs, and the autographs checklist is much more narrow, which is fantastic. And so if they didn't, if the autographs were 200, 300, 400 potential players, this would really make it a terrible thing. But the autograph side, you can end up getting players that are pretty decent here, especially the rookies that you might want. And because you have a decent chance of getting some nice rookies from the autograph side, we're going to give this checklist, instead of it being like a 0 or a 1 out of 5, we're going to give it a 2 out of 5, simply because the autograph odds are a little more in your favor here. They also have these Sapphire selections autographs, which are beautiful. One of my favorite insert sets in all of the sports card world. Sapphire selections, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, soccer, these are fantastic. So you got a lot of good looking cards, but it's going to be tough to get what you want. So for that reason, we're giving the checklist a 2 out of 5. Next, let's move on to the gradability, and all we can really do right now is look at how things did in 2023. So last year, there were about 5,000 cards that were sent in, and the gem rate was almost 60%, which is pretty good. The Sapphire selections are up at 68%, which is very good. The one, normally I would say this would deserve like a 4 out of 5. I'm actually going to give it a 3 because if you look at the gem rates in 2024 for other Sapphire products, such as soccer, such as tennis, such as I forget what else we've even considered, they're just not as good this year. I'm seeing a fair amount of scratches and damage on these cards, and so I hope that they fix this for 2024 baseball. But if they didn't, then I just kind of have to assume that maybe we're going to have the same issue. So we're going to give this a 3 out of 5. I still think there's a decent chance you can gem some of these Sapphire cards for sure. Lastly, let's look at the desirability here of these cards over long periods of time. So the way that we do that is we're gonna pick a couple players that we think they've definitely been doing pretty well recently, and they might do well over long periods of time. So if you look at Gunnar Henderson, like this is just his Topps Chrome here in blue. So this is kind of the baseline, Topps Chrome rookie and a PSA 10. That has been, you can see the ride here. Oops, here we go. It's been kind of an up and down season for him. He was in the thick of the MVP race here in June, July. Baltimore's kind of cooled off, but at the very peak, that card was a $90 card. It's kind of settled back down around that $35 to $40 range. And so if he's one of the top players in the league at $35 there, what does his Sapphire card look like? Well, it's way higher, up at $215. There hasn't been a sale in about a month though, so that might have come down a bit. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's still, you can see Sapphire cards go for more than the regular Topps Chrome, even if we pulled up a refractor here. Base, let's see. Just a regular refractor, that's at 45. Okay, so it's not too different from a pattern wise, but you can expect these Sapphire cards to hold their value much more. Now, if we flip over and look at let's look at Bobby Witt here real quick, and this is obviously the stud from the 2022 class, and so his base PSA 10, which this is pretty crazy, it's up to 144. And he's obviously having an incredible year. That's very, very high for just a base PSA 10 for sure. But if you look at the Sapphire version, that's up to 250, and so it still has a decent premium there on the Sapphire side. So Sapphire cards should hold a premium over the base cards and the regular cards. Let's take a peek at like the refractor version here, if we can find one for Witt. There may not be a ton. Pink Wave, refractor out of 299. Yeah, there may not be one here. Let's just try the Pink Wave. Yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot of good options there. So we'll forget that we did that. But yeah, in general, this is what I would expect. The Sapphire cards should hold maybe a 50 to 100% premium of the best players over top of their base Topps Chrome cards. So anyway, we're going to give this desirability wise a 5 out of 5. And that's going to bring our total for this set. You have a 1 from the price, a 2 from the checklist, a 3 from the grading, and a 5 on the relevance and desirability. That gets you to 11 out of 20, which, again, that's pretty close. And we just have to say skip, just because checklist is too big, price is too high. The other two things end up being a pretty good, as far as grading and desirability goes. But we think that's a good reason for you to skip this product and instead maybe try to find some singles here. If you think there's rookies that are going to do well over the next few years, instead of spending $550 on a box of Sapphire and who knows what you're going to get, maybe just pick the cards of the players that you want, spend $500 on them, try to grade them, and I'm guessing in a few years, if you're right about those cards, they should be worth way more than that $500, and you might get a better return on your investment doing it that way. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Let us know if you're going to rip this product or we're not. Until next time, stay curious.